Welcome back, everyone, to Collect Your Thoughts. And we are turning 30. That's right. It's the Dirty 30 episode. And we're going to do it right. We're going to do shots every time I say the word right at the end of a sentence. Or maybe we'll do shots when I make Sean laugh.
I never
Lord,
laugh.
I'm kidding. No, we would. Yeah, Sean never laughs. But that would probably result in a very, very extended shout out from Sean drunkenly at the end of. So we're going to skip that part. But we are going to talk about penises. Long ones, short ones, fat ones. Well, really just penises in general, and how men's locker rooms are actually seeing less of them these days than they used to. And we're also going to examine how this is part of a larger trend that we touched on before, body dysmorphia, but more specifically, the use of bodybuilding supplements by gym goers and where this trend comes from. Stay tuned for all this and more. I'm Jason LeCompte.
And I'm Sean Millhouse.
And this is Collect Your Thoughts. So, Sean, how are you?
Well, I'm just recovering from that opener. I'm already 3 sheets to the wind. So
you refill your shot glass over on the side.
I'm preparing for my shout out monologue that I like to do at the end of every episode.
At least you won't be slurring your words.
That's what our collectors are, and which is in my head what our fan base is called, the collectors.
Mm-hmm. Like Swifties, but collectors. Yes, I like that.
Yeah. I know. Like once we get big enough for people to really, when we're doing like Madison Square Garden and stuff like that on our podcast tour. We'll be like, hey, collectors, welcome.
And then all 3 people. Yay. They're
like, you rented out the theater, you owe us $70 million. Like, whoops. We'll be like, we played the garden and no one came.
But really, we're just talking about like my garden out back.
Yes.
Right.
We have the best live episodes in Jason's garden.
So good.
Yes, the squirrels love us.
So we're not drinking. Full transparency, we're just drinking water.
Alcohol. We're not drinking alcohol.
Correct.
We might have our energy drinks. We might have our water.
But we are a little slightly unhinged, maybe more than usual today.
Not the same, but
I don't know. Maybe about the same. Yeah. But yeah, we're very excited. This is our 30th full length episode. Sean, long distance high five.
High five.
Nice work. I want to give you credit. This is a big deal. You are the brains and the brawn, the workhorse. You do a lot of the non-camera work. Let's face it. Sure. You do all of the non-camera work. You're the editor. Right. We collaborate. We build episodes together.
We produce the content together.
Correct.
However, I do tackle the behind the scenes stuff, which I really love doing.
So just personally, I want to give you an early shout out and credit for you do a really good job with this. I'm really proud of you and proud of us for making it this far. This is a big deal.
Yeah, no, same. I really I've had thoughts of, I know again, it's only episode 30. And of course, this doesn't include our afterthoughts episodes that we've done.
Sure.
But for full-fledged episodes, I think getting to this point is really cool. I think anytime you kind of get to a next big number, it's really neat. And to, see, I think the different ways also that I feel like you've found your voice. I feel like you've always been a natural, but it definitely feels even more just solid. And so, it feels when we have that safety, I think that we try to develop here, I think it allows us to take risks and go for it and to collaborate very well. So thanks for partnering with me on that.
100%. Yeah. I have a great time doing this, and I want to do at least 30 more. Let's say that. How about that?
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. Nice. All right. Well, let's take a look at this week's collection. I know we like to kick it off typically
Yes.
with some good news, which
Yes,
has
yes,
been, I don't know,
yes.
tradition now for a couple, 2, 3, 4 episodes. We've been pulling some nice, fun, po- positive highlights from the news, which I think is a way better
Things that aren't
use.
exploding nonstop is how I
Right.
look
Way
at it.
better use of the news. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yes.
So this one, I'll go back a couple of weeks, but this was a big deal on the International Transgender Day of Visibility. So that was Tuesday,
Mhm.
March 31st. So the Wisconsin governor, Tony Evers, he held a private ceremony at the state capitol surrounded by trans and non-binary folks and their families. And he vetoed, very much in public, 5 anti-trans bills that the Republican-controlled legislature in Wisconsin had sent to his desk. So these
Yes.
bills, yes, I know. Good job, Tony. Good job, Governor Evans.
Yes,
Evers?
yes.
Evers. Yeah, Governor
Evers.
Evers. Evers. Yeah. So these bills, they would have banned trans athletes from female designated sports teams in K through 12 and college. And I know this is a very hotly contested topic
Yeah.
nationally and even internationally in some circles. Regardless of where you fall, whatever side of the fence, this is really pro youth. That's what
Yeah.
these vetoes were about. So it was female designated sports teams in K through 12 and in college. So these bills, they would have forced teachers to out trans and non-binary students to their parents. Not okay, right?
No.
Crippling to
Terrible.
mental health, also potentially very dangerous in terms of life threatening. The bills would have flat out prohibited gender affirming care for minors. Again, we know we have hard scientific evidence that says that this is not good for mental health and potentially
Mhm.
life threatening.
Mhm.
And the bills would have also let adults sue gender affirming care providers like Sean and I for regret all the way until age 33.
What a random number too, like 33. It's also equated in my
Yeah.
head. I'm like, was this based out of like, that was when Jesus died. So therefore that's the age of regret. That's just
First
where
of all,
my
we
head
don't
went.
really know that, but also
I
secondly,
know that's
you're
just what
right.
was
Yes.
thrown
No,
around.
no,
That's
you're right.
always
Yep.
when people turn 33, that's always I'm like, or they get to 34. I'm like, you outlived Jesus.
Yep.
Congratulations.
You
Sorry.
100%. Yep. Yep. And
Ah.
I don't want to, just as we've said many times in the past, I don't want to denigrate the entire Christian population.
No, no,
There are
no. There's
wonderful Christians,
lovely,
but also
beautiful
correct.
people in all
Exactly.
religions. Yes.
Right. But people like to use the Christian faith to promote, I don't know, like terribleness,
Enforce their own agenda and
enforce their
basically
correct.
want everyone to fall under that, despite the fact that they would not want other religions doing the same to them.
Right. That's the thing that really kills me about.
Yeah.
We could probably do a whole series on this, but like
Mhm.
we justify and then it's a whole double standard. Yeah. So anyway, in his veto message, Governor Evers wrote that he objected to codifying discrimination into state statute and to the legislature's ongoing efforts to perpetuate hateful and discriminatory rhetoric and policies targeting LGBTQ Wisconsinites, including our transgender and gender nonconforming kids. He added, while the federal government and other states across this country may give way to anti-LGBTQ hate, here in Wisconsin, we will continue to decline to do the same. He reportedly
Yeah.
told the kids, this is my favorite part. He reportedly told the kids in the room he'd have liked to just write hell no across the bills.
That's so cool.
Thank you. So, I mean, that is so just my gut reaction to this, right? This is somebody who he took something that was going to be blatantly discriminatory, blatantly hurtful towards a group, and he publicly said hell no to
Yeah.
this. He publicly shot it down. This wasn't a backroom deal. This wasn't somebody trying to pull some sort of arm twisting, off stage somewhere. This is what you're proposing. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
going to pull together an entire press conference. Oh, and 40 or 50 folks who want to come, right? And then also, so like, I love that. That is standing up publicly for something that you believe in.
Yes.
Doesn't that just give you the goodness, the the warm and fuzzies?
Oh yeah, like I
Yeah.
think too the thing that really as you were reading through all of the different things that he vetoed, the one that really, I mean, they're all horrific, but the one that
Mm.
specifically, like, hit home for me was the, basically making teachers out their trans and non-binary students to their parents, which I know there's
Right.
other legislation in other, states that have been passed to do this, and
Mhm.
I mean, I remember in high school when I had my own troubles with being bullied. It was me turning to my teachers who I felt safe with, who rectified the situation, and I
Mhm.
never experienced it to my face ever again.
Right.
And so to know that that was before I knew like what I determined for my own sexual orientation, but to think that, when you have a safety with your teacher to make them do that. I know most teachers like that goes against everything they believe in. Like they not
Yep.
only want to obviously inform and teach and help people learn, but they know that in order to do that, you have to have safety in the classroom. And to imagine doing that, like pulling the rug from under these individuals that are trans and non-binary to
Yeah.
eliminate that protection, it just it's just inhumane.
It is. That's a really good way to sum that up. There's there's hard scientific evidence. Children need to feel safe to be able to engage the part of their brain that learns. They're
Yeah,
sitting in a room in front of a person that they know doesn't respect them, doesn't make them feel safe, or is surrounded by peers that they know are antagonistic, that are bullying them, or that now know something that they would rather they didn't know because of all of the things that are going to get thrown at them.
yeah.
They can't concentrate. They literally are
No.
like physically unable to concentrate. So then they're handicapping that
Yeah.
young person, right? So there's a whole myriad of reasons, but good job, Governor Evers, for shooting this
Yes.
down and doing it publicly. It's a really important thing to do publicly.
Can I also just add, like, I think
Yeah.
there's a really important thing that I hope is noticed is that not only with Wisconsin, but also
Mm.
Minnesota, is that these are states that I would definitely say a lot of people consider like Midwest and
Yeah.
Midwestern, right? And
Sure.
so a lot of times when different politicians have these talking points about the urban elites, on the coasts and things like that, and they make it
Right.
sound like, the heart of America doesn't want this, and it's like, actually, you can't say that. I know and understand there's lots of people that have lots of what I believe are unfounded feelings
Yeah.
about trans and non-binary people, but this is part of the core of America. So
Yeah.
if you want to look at our country and see the populations of support for these communities, it's not just going to be found in your LA and in your New York and in your Chicago. And which is also extremely Midwest.
It
Like,
is.
so
Yes.
it's just, I think that that's important to point out that it's not like the Midwest is just full of people that are like, no, all we want to do is go to church and tell everybody to get married and have 2.5 kids, and that's the only way to go. So I
Right.
just appreciate that representation of the Midwest as not just being this like cattle ground for Christianity only.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Well, all right. So here's let's play devil's advocate for a second. So
Yeah,
do you feel like gestures like this, moments, let's call it a moment like
yeah.
this where he's doing this publicly, does it actually change anything in the long run, or do you feel like maybe it's more symbolic, or like what's your opinion?
I do. I mean, I can't negate the importance of a person who feels that they are not welcomed, hearing this from a representative, like even just this messaging could give someone years of life just by hearing that the
Yeah.
person that is the governor of my state is looking out for me. So
Hmm.
I know that while there are attacks being flung at me for this thing that I did not choose for myself, in how I am in my body and my soul, to know it can't be, I think, just relegated to passing news. And also I think it shows people resistance. Like when I looked at this, I thought I think that it's important because it's showing, well, if there's more and more of these roadblocks, and they're not just happening in these like large, gigantor coastal cities,
Mm.
then maybe there's some real traction that these are just people trying to live their lives. And it's not some giant threat to our children that they're going to be indoctrinated into this trans underworld. That is not, none of that is accurate. And so I do think that there is something that it's these things along the way that help to pave the way for hopefully acceptance one day.
Yeah, it is symbolic. And
Yes.
I think it also instills hope, which then builds resilience in us to push for change. So I
Yes.
think it's both, honestly. It
Oh, yeah.
is. We need to have symbols of hope and things that give us strength to want to push for change. But then we also do need to find it in ourselves and take action and talk to our neighbors and whatever, all the things, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's
yeah,
one thing to
that's
say
great.
I have support for this, it's another thing to say I'm striking down all of these bills that we're trying to get passed. I mean,
Yeah.
that to me is where it's like, this is a symbol, but it's also real action being taken.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. There's there was a wave of this is pretty much going back, I think, a year when the current administration took position again in the White House, and a lot of companies started to do away with their DEI initiatives, right? Pressure from legislature and all that noise. And to me, that was symbolic, but in the wrong direction.
Absolutely.
There was a lot of rhetoric around like, it's okay, we still do this and we still do this, and but like there were very big name companies, global international companies that were doing away with these initiatives and even de-enrolling from like human rights groups like the
Yep.
Human Rights Campaign and things like that, not wanting to be measured. And that to me, like that hurt. That was sort of the opposite
Deeply.
of a symbol. Yeah, it was the opposite of a symbol like this for me. So to see I don't want to call it the tide turning, right? But to see examples, positive examples, pushing back and saying, yes, it is important that we do have some symbols of hope. I think that's important too.
The last thing I'll say to that is
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the capitulation, I think, was one of the things that
Mm.
many of us were like, holy shit. We knew that this was going to be challenging for companies to navigate, but the often completely front forward capitulation of, yep, we'll just eliminate all these things that have been building for the last, 10 years essentially. That I guess I didn't I foolishly, I guess, believed that these companies had more guts to do what they
Mm.
wanted to do, but it just
Mm.
shows that, they see somebody who could wreck what their I guess, what how easily their businesses function,
Hmm.
and that's all it takes, which is why people, and including myself, bitch about capitalism all the time, because if a
Right.
dollar amount is what can skew, like, our our
Value
world,
of a
it could,
human life.
yeah, like, that's
Yep.
where is God in that? Where is Christianity in that? Like,
Ooh. Mm.
like,
There's your
yeah.
quote of the week right there. Love it.
We'll see
That's
about
good.
that. We might have some other goodies, but yeah, so it's
Yeah.
just the hypocrisy is just always gonna be the thing that, you
Yeah.
know, no for you and yes for us is always going to be something that I'll never understand how they don't understand how it's going to circle back. Like, karma always keeps track, and it will find
Mm,
you, and it will
mm,
come for you. And even if it
mm.
might take years, it might take decades, it might happen after I am well dead. Shit will swing back, and this will
Yeah.
not be like this forever.
Yeah.
So that's my
Yeah.
other
You're right.
hope shout out.
Nice. Hubcore.
Oh,
What about
Gore!
Hubcore? Hubcore. All right. Well, let's put that one to bed. Let's talk
Good
about
night.
your favorite topic, dicks.
I mean, Taylor
Okay,
Swift
maybe
be
not your favorite.
first.
Maybe, okay, Taylor Swift first, then maybe
Taylor
it's not.
Swift, then
Yeah.
my brother should no, yes, yes. I like how it's just
So
mine.
really, yeah,
You. I
it's
know
not.
you are just
I have no
opposed.
interest. I have
None,
no interest. Yeah, no.
none.
And it's not real. Okay, to be fair, let's
I was
pull
gonna say
back just
you
a little bit.
definitely need
It's
to clean
not
this up for our
about.
people who are like, oh my god, they've gone off the rails.
I know. We
Those
have.
dirty
It's our Dirty
bastards.
30 episode. We're having fun on our Dirty 30 episode. This isn't just about penises. This is just about nudity. This is just nudity in locker rooms, right? So that's really all we're talking about. But the thing that caught my attention was, and I've actually read probably, like, if I'm looking back now, probably 4, 5, 6 times this has caught my newsfeed or caught my attention somewhere, that there has been, and something I've noticed as well, is a decline in the amount of nudity, or at least the amount of comfort about being nude in locker rooms. So this is something that I was always kind of, I don't know how much experience you have, but like growing up, like I went to an all boys high school. And so there was lots of changing going on, and there was, casual, whatever, this, that, nudity and things like it was never really like a huge deal. But I could tell too, even in the 90s when I was in high school, like there wasn't a whole lot of comfort with, I don't know, like parading around or like extended amounts of time being naked in the locker room, right? It was just something that we did quickly. We kind of like whatever. But like even showering in high school was different. Like there was only certain groups, certain sports teams that would do it. And if we had gym class, we didn't need to shower after. And this was in the mid to late 90s for me. No, sorry, early to mid 90s. That's when I graduated. I'm like, you were yours was later.
Late 90s, yes.
Late 90s,
late 90s,
yeah.
early aughts, yeah.
Right, yeah. So it really caught my attention, caught my curiosity, because everybody has a body. Everybody is naked at some point in their day, most likely, right? If you're bathing or even just going to the bathroom. What?
Sorry,
it's just a simple, yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, if you've seen Arrested Development, like the reason I'm laughing at that is because there's a whole character who's never nude. He's afraid to be nude, and so anyway, Tobias.
Yes, Tobias. Anyway, he's a never nude.
I couldn't. That's where I went. Nope. When I was like,
that was a good
Tobias
aside.
would disagree. We highly recommend Arrested Development. The first 3 seasons are excellent.
For sure. Yes, for sure. I think it would be good to talk about. Just an interesting kind of shift, of a generational shift. So I'll share a little bit of where this is coming from. So starting around 2015, this caught more of a national journalistic eye. So journalists began documenting this shift in American men's locker rooms. Younger guys, like the tail end of millennials and Gen Z, they were quietly opting out of behaviors that used to be universal, like changing and showering and things that we were just mentioning. So Salon, they ran a piece on it in 2015. Then the New York Times followed that. And then Mel Magazine also did a deeper dive. I think that one was published last year. The pattern that all of these publications described, they look the same. Young men changing in toilet stalls instead of at their locker, or skipping their post-workout shower entirely and driving home sweaty rather than getting naked around other men, their peers or whatever. The surprising thing that I found out when I was kind of doing all this was that the gym chains responded like quickly. Yeah. The big chains like Equinox, Planet Fitness, they redesigned their renovations and their builds around the assumption that people do not want to be seen, that private shower stalls, floor to ceiling doors, individual changing pods, it was a whole built around just like personal privacy, essentially. And that's what the default has, like even the gym that I'm a part of has been open for 2 years. And that's something that I've noticed, is that there's not a lot of the, I don't know, let's say 100 or so guys that I'll see in the course of a morning while I'm there. There's maybe 5 to 10 guys that are comfortable being actually fully nude. Which is just really interesting to me, right? It's just less than 10%. What's your experience? What's your observation?
You have it?
Is this in your? Yeah, please. Let's share. Let's dig in a little bit.
So my first thought is this: like, I know that this is something that you have been like on your own journey with, just like fully accepting of things and with body, love and also just the embracing of this being a natural process. And yes, in an ideal world, I think it's a lovely thought. However, and wait, back it up. It's a lovely thought. And I will say, I remember
Mm,
my dad talking about like, oh yeah, me and my buddies, we would when we were down in my college town, Pittsburgh, there were these like pits that we called them, where it was just these large, bodies of water. And so they'd be like, yeah,
mm,
me and the guys, we all go skinny dipping in the pits, and it was just not a thing. We'd all have a great
yep.
time. And it was totally not a thing, at least how he described it. And I remember as a kid being like, what? That sounds weird.
You took
And
off
the
your clothes
reason,
in front of other people?
yes, like what,
Yeah.
and not in your home, right?
Right. Right.
And so when I think about it, I don't really feel like our world, America, let me back it up. Americans have shifted to this place of like increased propriety or something, like I'm not sure what the right word is, but just really
Prudishness?
something, yes.
Yeah. Overly
And
polite,
so
something along that. Yeah. Go ahead.
it's just like very conservative in how
Mm,
they allow their bodies to be out there. And
yeah.
truth be told, like my growing up experience, of course, I'm coming from the experience of somebody who has been overweight my entire life, like for
Mm,
literally from 4 years old to current. And so I already had a relationship with my body that was difficult. And then in general, I will say this: boys are assholes. Boys are assholes. American boys are assholes. They were mean. They were mean to each
mhm.
other. They were mean
Yeah.
to me. They're not chill about it. So I
Mm,
think that's how, like, I remember I was horrified my freshman year of high school
mm,
was the first time I had gym class where then afterwards the expectation is for you to shower. And it was all open
sure.
showers and which is very much how it was. And I remember being just like, oh my god, I feel so mortified. My body looks different from everybody else. I don't want to like, and they're talking to other people like pieces of shit, commenting on, oh, you have hair here or you have this. And so
Yep.
when I think about that, I'm like, yeah, no wonder everybody went to a fucking stall, because you have these douchebags that are running around making you feel like shit about things you cannot change to some extent.
Right.
And like, why would you put yourself through that? And so, yeah, I think if you are in Europe, from what I hear, it's a very different attitude. It's a very, I mean, they have
Mm.
nude beaches like all over the place from what I've read and heard. And
Oh, yeah.
that I think just breeds such a different relationship with nudity that Americans just don't have. And now guys are just being infiltrated with this like gym culture nonstop to,
Mm.
I mean, God, how many gym selfies are out there?
Oh, my
These
gosh.
guys showing their very best pose and the best of lighting and the best, sucking in the right way and flexing the right
Uh-huh.
way. And, it's
Mhm.
probably their 10th picture that they were choosing, and so it's all curated, it's all fake, and so
Yeah.
I think that all of that together, it makes it impossible for somebody who has an average and then below average, I guess you could say, type of body to want to
Mhm.
expose themselves to that kind of criticism. So I love the idea of that openness, but we got to change how we look at it, and that starts with parenting. That starts with our culture around it, and I don't know how that changes in a big way.
I think that's the tough part, right? Like, how do you reverse course or how do you build? Like, if that is the goal, if that is so, maybe before we even go towards that direction, like,
Yeah,
I think it's important to talk about the impact that that has. Like,
yeah,
obviously, being subject to that and feeling like you're different, but then also if you like, and it takes an adult brain to be able to look at it this way, right? As an adolescent, all you're looking for is places where you fit in, right? Somebody that you
yeah.
want to
To
grow
belong,
somebody
yeah,
that you want to grow into, you want to belong. That's like, and you're looking for it from your peer group. And if you feel like you look or sound or act or just are different than your peer group, then you're always going to feel ostracized.
yeah,
The lesson that I feel like is lost when we don't have non-sexual social nudity with our peer groups is that we don't get to understand fully that everybody's body is a little bit different. And
hmm,
everybody's body is also a little bit the same. Like, we're just these human mammals, right? There's going to be more
yeah,
glaring differences here or there, or even like you said, developmentally, right? Like phases of adolescence, whatever, it doesn't matter. But like, even as adults, we carry this fear that we have into our adult lives, and it it changes our relationship with our bodies,
Yeah.
which then changes our comfort level in our relationships and creates all of this sort of, I don't know, unrest and chaos. And so you alluded to like my own journey with it. And I've been open with you about this for sure. Like becoming more comfortable in my body has been probably it's been one of the most important journeys that I've been on in my adult life, but probably the last 10 or 15 years I've really been leaning into it. Like, why am I carrying shame about my body? My body
Hmm.
is, I mean, objectively, like normal,
Hmm.
average, like nothing to be ashamed about. So why do I have shame about people seeing my body or about how it works or how it behaves? I think the large reason is, I'm gonna bring it right back to this. I never got the lesson that bodies are all the same and bodies are all a little bit different, right? All of the variations. Nobody
Hmm.
ever told me that that was normal. Nobody ever looked at me or allowed me to integrate into a peer group, experience non-sexual social nudity, and feel safe
Yeah.
and learn, right? This is
Yeah.
human. This is what a human animal looks like. This is what another human animal looks like. This is what another human, right? With all of these types of different variations. So I could feel more. To me, that's the biggest, largest lesson that's lost when we take this away.
Mm. I think too what's really I want to speak to is I imagine there are probably lots of people listening going, I can't believe they're even talking about this because there's a lot of people who just think, yeah, and it's fine the way it is. I don't know why would I want to be naked with other people in a
Right.
non-sexual way. I mean,
Right.
God, how many people don't even allow themselves to fully disrobe during sex?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
like if it's not happening there, you think it's going to happen in a public space? Are you kidding me? So I think that that's the thing we have to really contend with here is I think really breaking down, and maybe this is going to be you as the best steward for this, which is breaking down why this would be something that people would want to adopt for themselves. Like, why would they want to put themselves out there in this way when, for a lot of people, they're like, I mean, this doesn't really hurt me to do this way because you know what? I don't have to deal with the criticism that or the looks or the judgment or the shaming. And so I
Hmm.
get to stay safe in that. And I don't really care to see anyone else naked. I think that that's the thought that goes into it. However, I also know from the
Yeah.
reading and everything like that, all the other just really lovely ways and like the normalization that you mentioned. So I think that's just something I wanted to speak to because I imagine there are people out there being like, I don't see this as a problem. So why, maybe, whatever, just who cares? But
Just, yeah. Right. Just
yeah,
let it keep changing the way that it's changing.
yeah, yeah.
Sure.
Some people like
Which,
their privacy.
okay. Yeah. And you know what? If that works for you and you're fine with that and you're comfortable with that, that's great. For me, and I know for lots and lots of other people, that low level background anxiety that I would have about going into a situation where I might need to be, even if it's a
Mhm,
new sexual partner, right?
mhm,
Where I might want to be or need to be nude in front of another person. And I'm not comfortable with that. Like that, it interrupts so much for me. I know that I'm overly sensitive, maybe about a lot of things, but that thing in particular, like walking around with that background anxiety, I'm not going to be able to shake that. I'm never going to be able to relax. I'm never going to be able to feel safe and enjoy myself as fully as I could if I were to do away with that, right? If I were to be
mhm,
able to shelve some of that anxiety. So that's for me. But I hope that this resonates with at least a few people who are listening because it really has impacted me. But then also the journey to overcoming it has been wonderful and beautiful and freeing and is really like just allowed for me to like be comfortable in my skin, which has been a huge gift. So I do want to examine though, like, so obviously there's an overarching culture, right?
mhm.
What do you think adds to it in our culture? What do you think reinforces
Shame.
these attitudes? Okay, but shame about like how we look, shame about how we're supposed to look.
Mhm. I think she
That's where
I
this,
think I
yeah.
mean, think about I again, like, I think they're even in church, it was, it's all about you make sure you're covered up and you make sure you look a certain way. It's always about aesthetic. It's always about appropriateness. It's about
Mm,
reverence. And so I think that that then also translates to, wait, you were telling me all the time I have to look buttoned up and good and secure, and now I can be in front of those same people that I was supposed to be completely
Hmm.
perfect around, quote unquote, and allow my most like completely vulnerable sense of my body to them. Like there's
Right.
no training ground for that. So I think it feels extremely uh the word's escaping me, but just it's like demanding something that feels very unnatural because it's not something that's espoused. And I think also just American culture, we can be very prudish. I think we can be, especially with language on television, with I mean,
Yeah.
penises on television. They now use all
I know.
prosthetic dicks on television, which is so
Mm.
ridiculous. How many times have we seen women completely nude?
Yeah.
And it's like that's just what you do because guess what? Who's making the decisions? Heterosexual old men, and they wanna see their
Sure.
naked women, but, "Oh,
Right.
we don't wanna see in their dick because what if it's bigger? What if it's too small? What if it's this?" Like, it's all that
Right.
terrible noise.
Yeah.
So, I think I really feel like to embrace this way of thinking that you're talking about would have to be some massive shift on a very, like, home-based level to actually make it happen. And I don't know how that happens outside of maybe
Yeah.
you just like people like you talking about why they have found joy in being able to embrace that.
Yeah. Potentially. I was thinking too, like other pieces of our culture, like the ubiquity of phones
Mhm.
and cameras in phones, right? I think there's probably a reasonable fear that
Oh,
there's
yeah,
going to be some
that is a big
creepy
one.
perv, right? That's going to be taking secret photos of
Yep.
somebody in locker rooms or what.
Yeah.
Like that part I can understand.
Yeah.
Um,
That's changed the game
and
big time.
I really think it has. That's been the biggest change for me from high school to now, right? The last 30 years for me has been like, sure, until what was it, the late 2000s when we had smartphones and cameras integrated into smartphones? Like, so for those 15 years after high school, it was all pretty much the same in terms of that. And
Yeah.
then it all shifted, right? And now
Yeah.
everybody has a camera in their hand at all times. So it makes sense to me that over the last 15 years, like this has really become, I guess, an issue for people, right? If they
Mhm.
feel like someone's going to expose them, which let's just shoot that down right now. Like that's disgusting, terrible behavior. And please don't ever do that to people. Like that's,
Yes. Consent is
and also
sexy.
it's correct. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
also a felony. So just so,
Yes. But
just
I
so
think
you
that
know that,
that
but
also though
yeah,
speaks to it is that I think
yeah,
that's also why people are afraid to even embrace this is because of the sexualization of nudity. Like
right.
like you said, like you're talking about non-sexual nudity. And that is something that people are like, oh, you mean the minutes between me getting in and out of the shower? Like, that. And
Yeah.
so I think for people to go, wait, there's a purpose for nudity outside of showering and sex that can be like a uniting or human bonding kind of thing. That what? Like that's it's almost like hearing, oh yeah, the Martians came down and they moved in next door. What? Like I think it just feels
Yeah.
completely unnatural because of how American culture especially has pushed this narrative about nudity equals sex.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's where I was going next with this, right? Is the cultural piece. Like it really there are so many other cultures, even subcultures within the US culture
Yeah.
that are representative of other countries and other cultures
Mhm.
where communal bathing, things like communal bathing are it's just normal. It's just like
Yeah.
nobody ever thinks twice. Oh, it's time for you to bathe. Oh, okay, there's the bathhouse, right? And then everybody goes and just strips down and washes and then gets dressed and then goes to dinner or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Or sauna culture in like the Nordic countries. Like
Mhm.
there's not another thought about seeing another body, right? Male or female. It's all mixed. Like it's really,
Yeah.
it's so what I think kind of brings it, we don't have to like belabor this, but what I really feel like what we're talking about is, and this is maybe a through line for probably a lot of our episodes, if not all of them in some subtle way, is we're really talking about like the divisiveness that this country is experiencing, the polarization, the disconnection that we feel from ourselves, from each other, from the things that we love. And to me, this is just another aspect of it where we are losing our connection not only to our own bodies, but then also to just a natural, healthy process of being an animal around another human animal. Like
Yeah.
this is not sensational. This is not sexy. This is just normal. And to normalize normal, I think is really important in terms of healing some of the divisiveness that we say or that we all experience. So I want to read just a quick little quote. So this is from Dr. Barry Miller. He was highlighted in one of the articles, the Mel article that I was talking about. He said, "It would be good for all of us to let go of that self-consciousness as we age, since it is one of the critical transformational possibilities in aging. To stop caring about the presentation, about who you're supposed to be." And that's what I feel like you were talking about. You were describing performing, right?
Mhm.
Being buttoned up at all times. Now we're performing our culture or performing what it is to be human and not being authentic. And that's going to rub me the wrong way because that's really important to me.
Mhm.
So so he says to stop caring about the presentation, about who you're supposed to be. If one manifestation of that is just walking around naked, that's great. But it should also be about opening to what you can talk about, what you can say, and what you feel free about. I love that. That to me is the
Yeah.
essence of what we're talking about. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just gonna I think what that says, but also as I was, reading that and as we were talking about
Mhm.
this, I mean, also think about how so many, especially conservative politicians, espouse all these things about what is prim and proper and being modest. And yet they're the ones that are oftentimes on Grinder. They're the ones that are doing, having salacious affairs. They're the ones
Mm,
that are also passing the bills and going to mega churches and saying all these things should not happen. And then they are doing them in the shadows. And
right.
so how does that then not translate to, "Oh, see, look, they can't even accept that in themselves."
Yeah.
And that hypocrisy is just showing me, yep, there's so much shame there that why would anybody put themselves out there in that way? Because we can't even get that from our supposed leaders in this country
Hmm.
to be genuinely authentic, to embrace who they are, to know that what they're into and who they are and all those things don't have to equate to shame, and that then trickles down all the way to non-sexual nudity,
Yeah.
because it's just another thing that should be kept behind closed doors. It is, don't ask, so tell, basically. It's wild. There's just, yeah, there's a lot of that, and it's fucking with us.
Did you watch the Sandman series?
No.
So it
Neil
was
Gaiman or Gaiman or
Neil
however.
Gaiman, yeah, adaptation of a graphic novel of his. And there was an episode about one of the characters took away everybody's ability to lie, to be able to tell a
Mm.
fib. And it was really illustrative. It's sort of a fantasy. It's in my head, like that's one of my fantasies. Like, could everyone just be as honest and as authentic as possible? But then also it
I was
showed
gonna say
some of the
that's a
dangers and some
double,
of the.
yeah,
It's a total double-edged sword, right? But
yeah.
to be able to bring some of these things to be more honest, more authentic, instead of hiding, instead of performing, like I just feel like there's some ground to be gained there in terms of connectivity, right? In terms of relational health with each other and even with
Mhm,
ourselves. So
mhm.
just a silly aside, but
The only
yeah.
thing I think will allow that to shift is if there's less corruption in the spaces of power, so that people who, which I know, yeah, that's like saying, "And there's no more dirt in the ground," like, um, but,
Well, that's
like,
that Lord Byron
yeah.
quote, right? Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think until we have leaders that are truly, I think, enforcing this idea of as long as nobody's getting hurt, abused, neglected, or conned, then live and let live. I think that is such a important
Yeah.
thing that so many people, it's like they struggle to imagine that other people can make decisions for themselves that they would
Mm,
not make. I don't
Mhm.
understand that. Like, I would never run into a church and be like, "You guys shouldn't worship in this church. How dare you?" Like, okay, that's not my cup of tea, but you do you, boo. Like, it's just
Right.
so I
Right.
think until we can get to that spot where we're like, not for me, but if it's for you, cool. I don't know how we get to this spot of that acceptance and
Mhm.
common humanity. But it's gonna take people really reckoning with the bullshit they've been taught their whole lives and their willingness to challenge it.
Amen. And maybe going skinny dipping with your friends once in a while.
Which a lot of times, unfortunately, in America means you have to get shit faced in order to feel comfortable to do that because, oh
Yes.
my God, my
Yes.
body. Oh, what is Jake going to think about my boobs? And, like
Mhm.
all this
Yep.
stuff. I mean, because, yeah,
Mhm.
like we talk a lot, not you and I, but
Yeah.
we as people, I think in society, I think it's known commonly that women have a history. It's said in history that basically women can be terrible to each other, but low
Sure.
key, I'm not really low key, mid to high key. Like men are just as bad. They just do it in different ways. They're just not
Oh,
as
for sure.
maybe overt about it in the shitty ways. And I definitely, I know women are
Right.
not a monolith, but this is definitely something that it's everywhere. It's pervasive. So I think until
Yeah.
we can stop being assholes to each other, and like
Mm.
the minute we see judgment or we feel like, oh, I'm noticing that that person has nipples that are a different color than what I've ever seen before. And to not go,
Yeah.
ew, but to go, oh, okay. Like
Mhm.
that is a shift that until you accept that in yourself and go, that's fine. I mean, okay.
Gosh. If I could just witness that broadly, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I would love it
But
too.
yeah.
And then I think,
Yeah.
yeah, if there was more of that, and I think it is great to hear from people like you who do espouse this, who do say like all the wonderful things that can be gained from it. But
Mhm.
also, I mean, it takes a movement to get these things to a place where I think it's widespread. But I mean, I know it starts with each little crack,
Yeah. Yeah.
butt crack. Sorry,
But
couldn't resist.
no, that's a perfect. Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, let's maybe move on from this, but also added to more of this. So, something that kind of leads into this, and you and I have talked about this before in different ways. Some body dysmorphia. This is specifically around muscle dysmorphia,
Mhm.
which I kind of learned about kind of recently is in the DSM. But so I'll just bring up this study. So last February, so this is 2025. CNN Health covered a study from a Canadian research team. It was published in one of the mental health journals, PLOS. It followed 2,700 young men, ages 16 to 30, and it looked at these 2,700 young men over time. So it was a longitudinal study. It wasn't just like a snapshot in time. But the researchers were looking at supplement use. So things like whey protein, creatine. Just for context, 63% of the men in the sample reported using protein powder, and 63% reported in specifically whey protein powder in shakes specifically. So this is really normalized behavior. Have you seen this on
Of
the internet,
course.
different places? Of
Oh
course,
yeah.
right? So
It's
I
everywhere.
also, right. I also will definitely have a protein shake. There was a point where I was having one almost every day, became maybe a little bit too much, but like it's definitely a part of my diet. And I don't mind admitting to that, but the way that I use it, I think, is kind of different than what I'm about to describe. What they found was that there was a dose dependent relationship between the number of supplements used and the symptoms of muscle dysmorphia,
Hmm.
with the curve really jumping at 6 or more supplements. Like 6 or more muscle building supplement. That's a lot of just a tax to put on your body to
Yeah.
process all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing that stuck out for me was the muscle dysmorphia thing. It's now a recognized clinical body image disorder. It lives in the DSM, and sometimes they call it reverse anorexia, where it becomes an obsession about like not being big enough, not being
Mhm.
lean enough or cut enough,
Mhm.
right? The behaviors look like excessive gym time, food fixation, body checking in mirrors, like you were talking about, 20 selfies in the gym mirror, and even things like social withdrawal, disconnecting from friends and peer groups because someone's training schedule won't allow that flexibility.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. I didn't realize that there was such a strong correlation I mean, I'm a supplement user. I will definitely take things like multivitamins and, like I said, the occasional protein shake or like things like that to supplement my diet and make sure
Mhm.
that I'm healthy. And for somebody who is approaching 50 to have extra protein in my diet is actually medically supported, right? We start to lose muscle mass as we age. We can compensate, body can take over, but we're looking at 16 to 30. Your body's not even done growing at 16.
Yeah.
16 to 30, and they're looking in the mirrors and they're going, I suck. I'm ugly. I'm not big enough. I'm not lean enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. And then are taking these supplements to potentially an unhealthy degree. This just sticks out to me as like problematic.
From what I feel like I've witnessed, it's become sort of like this is the standard how to be an acceptable, cool dude, like intro pack to do these things now. It
Starter
is,
packs? Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is, I think this is just the norm that I know a lot of teenage boys and young men, they
Mhm.
have fostered the normalcy of the abundance of all of these things put together and to be as strong as possible, to show up as big and as manly as you can get. And the thing is though is when you try to fit in, you're creating a sense of if I am other, then I am wrong. And so it's and which is connected to everything we're talking about today is if the greater
100%.
norm enforces this idea of this is what it takes to be a good enough version of a man and then to try and go against that or to have a different relationship to it will isolate yourself potentially even more, and it takes a lot of mental and emotional courage to do that, especially imagining, I mean gosh, this was before the internet is what it is now, which is now just
Mhm.
like, I mean, gym shit is everywhere. Gym bros are
Everywhere. Yep.
everywhere. And there's a lot of great content out there about learning different ways of fitness and tools. There's also just a lot of vanity bullshit that makes
Mhm.
people feel terrible about themselves because they think that their body should look like that. When guess what, guys? Even those people's bodies don't look like that. That's lighting, that's starving
Yeah.
themselves, that
Uh-huh.
is them they edit shit down.
Yeah.
Like, no one looks like that all the time unless they are probably making themselves miserable, which is what I hear a lot of times from the people that do this to themselves is they're deeply unhappy because they can't have like just like shit. Like they can't eat like shit ever, or they can't have any sort of like in between. It's very extreme.
That's the thing that really rubs me the wrong way is what this culture, this mindset is promoting is there is one right way to look.
Mhm.
And if you don't look like that one right way, you're not okay.
Yeah. Very
How
alpha
did we
male.
get here? It
The
goes for
rise of
me,
the
it goes
alpha
be
male. I
I
mean, think about it.
okay.
Think about the pushback of women talking about men in the way they have, and I think if you can't say that there isn't some kind of correlation between the rise in men trying to reclaim dominance in both
Mm.
their bodies and in their power over people, I think that would be just really neglecting of like what is happening in our world, especially in the American world.
So is this a natural pendulum swing against or going back the other way regarding feminism?
I think feminism, I think anything that is saying any like all are welcome. I think like there for people in power, there is something seductive about exclusivity. And so if you are
Okay.
trying to get this exclusive body, this
Hmm.
exclusive way of being, it's like you are a part of an elite club. And I think there's a lot of young men that desperately want to be a part of that elite club because they want the perks that come with it. And that's creating these horrible, horrible, horrible ways of living and interacting with each other.
There's such a small percentage though of people who are even capable of looking like that.
Right. But
So
they don't wanna know that, they don't wanna face that, they don't wanna hear that.
so if it's a small percentage, like I don't have numbers on this, right? But genetically, like if we are
Mhm.
as diverse as we've been talking about, And let's just, for arguments, let's just say 20%, right? If only 20% of the people have the ability to even possibly achieve this,
Yeah.
what does that do to the other 80% of people, of men who could never, right?
It leads to not being able to be nude around each other in locker rooms.
It leaves them feeling less than, like you said, it leaves them feeling othered and like they'll never achieve whatever it is being sold to them as the standard.
Yeah.
That makes me crazy.
Yeah.
It pushes against everything that we've been talking about, but it also, it's just personally to me, like that level of self-denial, right? Of the denial of the reality of the differences in being human, like that is insane to me, that we would discount all of these amazing differences, all of these things that make us stronger. That why wouldn't we lean into these things and promote some of these other ways of being as well?
Well, it is very, very, very indoctrinated into our system, starting with the beauty industry, for decades. I mean, think about supermodels. They're gorgeous to look at, but that mostly is genetics for most of those women. And then after that, it's a lot of other shit for very extreme situations. So I think that the biggest problem is that we do not have a lot of mainstream media that really celebrates bodies of all types and colors and different, like, I mean, people who have different skin conditions that lead to discoloration or hair patterns or the way that certain things grow on their face. Like, there's a lot of intolerance about it because there's aesthetic is king.
Yeah. I like when I hear like going to like mainstream and even Hollywood, right? Where we kind of look to some, I guess, actors for this type of standard. Like I love when they speak out against it and push against it, right? I know I've talked about Hugh Jackman before. This is another Hugh Jackmanism. He's talked about like the days leading up to the shirtless scenes that he's had to film as Wolverine. That some of what these actors have to do is literally dehydrate themselves. They won't drink anything but the bare minimum for 3 days, 3 whole days. I am drinking multiple of these a day, right?
He had a water bottle.
It was a water bottle. Thank you. But for 3 days to not, in order to look a certain way on camera, like, okay, I get that that's maybe it's that's a fantasy. That's a non-human character, right? That is trying to make it look fantastic. But like, this is not one person that's done this. This is dozens and dozens of people who are considered to be the alpha male stereotype, who are now performing that on screen and making everyone else believe that it's reality. And it's not. It's dangerous. It's unhealthy. It's unattainable on a normal scale. No one should be striving to look like that.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. If you look back, you could go look at movies in the 50s, 60s, and earlier. The bodies on those men look very normal. They're
very different,
very attractive at times, but they're not cut. They're not bulky with muscles. They might be fit, but they do not look like models. They do not look like they are fitness industry experts. And that is because, I mean, really the 80s, I think, was that time when bodybuilding became a thing. And then that kind of gym culture really blew up. And so then aesthetic really became more dominant. And so it once upon a time was way, way less terrible. I mean, I'm sure, I guarantee there was plenty of people that still felt like even that felt unattainable. But in comparison, it absolutely was totally different in attainability.
All right. So last question around this. So why do you think we don't talk about this in the same way that we talk about like other eating disorders or body image disorders? Like why don't we give it the same?
Because it looks good to some people. Like people think, like especially I mean, there's a lot of times when I'm, of course, this is just me, being an internet troll, but like there are so many times where in the comment sections of dudes, I'll be like, look at what happened to me in 6 weeks. And like the first
Oh,
picture, they look,
mhm.
in my opinion, like my dream
No,
body. Like they look
sure,
great.
yeah,
And
mhm,
then the next to them, they look like insanely cut to a way where like it's just muscle city. And
mhm.
most of the time, women are like the first one better, like the first one better. And it's
Yep.
all the gym bros who are like, yeah, way to go, dude. Yeah, wow, you're shredded, you're ripped, you're jacked, man. And so
Yep.
it's now becoming more and more, which we've talked about this, more and
Mhm.
more of a desire to be wanted and liked by your fellow man
Right.
because they want to be accepted. We men, why do I keep getting stuck? God damn it. This is like the third time in a row I've gotten
I
stuck on this
know.
goddamn feed. Oh. Anyway, um, sorry, for anybody who isn't watching, my
Yeah.
face got stuck in the feed and I look like an idiot. And this is like the third time that's happened. So if you want to check out, that's a promo for our YouTube page. If you want to see
Mhm.
my face like stuck and like
Trying to go.
completely like then please check it out. Yeah. Anyway, but so yeah, I it will always come back to this idea of I want to fit in, but fitting in is not the same as belonging. Miss Brene Brown has spelled it out
Oh,
for
thank you.
us.
Yes, thank you
And
for that.
that is
Yeah.
the main difference is belonging is not having to change who you are to be a part of something. It is welcoming all versus fitting in is changing yourself to fit into a certain mold of what is acceptable. And I think until we embrace allowing belonging in the real way and
Mm.
not fitting in, I don't know how we get out of this. But I mean, it starts with us. We have to do it in our own actions.
Here's the connector for me. So you almost nailed it. It's just I'm just going to say it in a different way. So if your relationship to your own body has been reduced to a daily measurement, and a sizable share of your peers are quietly developing clinical body image disorders around like
Hmm.
looking big enough,
Hmm.
then okay, so maybe communal nudity feels unattainable, right?
Hmm.
It's not. It's so, but I feel like young men are avoiding things like a gym shower or whatever, right? Avoiding these kinds of scenarios
Yeah.
because our bodies have stopped becoming a thing that we live in,
Hmm.
and they've started becoming a thing that we score,
Yeah.
that we give points to, that we idealize, put up on a pedestal, and that's not a healthy way of approaching it, right? Our relationship to
No.
our own bodies. So yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. I like the way that you said it. And I also like the way I said it.
Well, great.
Well, great. All right, cool. Okay, so what are you taking away from today? What's our through line? What are some highlights? What's standing out in Sean's brain?
I think my takeaway for people is it's really important. This is something I've had to do with myself
Mm.
is normalized looking at your body in the mirror when you're naked. It's a really it's a really strange, jarring thing, but if you can do it, and I will say this as somebody that still has a very vulnerable relationship with my body, I have been able to definitely, I think, just like I see it and I now go, that's just my body. And also like this is what I'm working with. And I'm not gonna hate myself for it anymore because it's just not gonna get me
Yeah,
anywhere. It's never
right.
gonna get me anywhere to be shitty to myself, just like I wouldn't treat other people like shit for things that they are working on or struggling with. So why am I gonna
Yeah.
do it to myself? So I know it's really scary. I know it feels really awkward, but like, look at your body. And even the things that have changed with aging, okay, that just means you're aging. It's okay. And also get the fuck off the internet. Like more often than not, do not allow your feed to be filled with people that are
Yep.
living in situations that
Uh-huh.
are not normal or natural to our most people's average process. I think when we fool ourselves into thinking that's the norm, that's how we create our own internal misery. So
Yeah.
love, like, love the one you're with, and that means you. That and it starts with like fully just taking yourself in and going, this is me, this is how I'm gonna be, and I might as well be on my own side.
One of the things that I really enjoy about this podcast, Sean, is the things that you and I learn about each other through these small moments of just, I don't know, it's realization or whatever it is. That is literally the thing that I was going to take away as well. I'm actually, I'm surprised, not hugely, but
Yeah.
like in a really pleasant way. Like, I feel like that's my crusade, just knowing you and me and our friendship and the things that we focus on, whatnot, like that's my crusade, right? Look at yourself in the mirror and start to just find neutrality. One of my
Yes.
favorite quotes, I've probably said it to you before, was a guru from like the 70s and 80s. Ram Dass is
Mm.
his name. Prolific author and mentor and sort of definitely like a new agey spiritual guru type person. But one of his favorite like little mini quotes, he says, I'll give you the gist of it. He says, whenever we go into the forest and we look at the trees, we don't judge them. They turn this way or that way, or this one might be crooked or leaning or whatever. And we don't put any judgment on it. We just go, that's a tree. Right. But he says, when we encounter people, all of that non-judgment goes away and we start
Mm-hmm.
questioning and blaming and judging and right. And what do we do? Why are we doing that to people? Like our
Yeah.
bodies are just an outcome, just a product of nature, just like a tree is.
Yeah.
So he says his practice is, I practice turning people into trees. Just when he
I
meets
like
them.
that.
And I love that. I love it. I love it. It warms my heart every time. It's something that it's a really great touchstone, but also like, can we turn ourselves into that, right? Can we examine ourselves and just find neutrality without judgment? Sure, there are things that we can work on, that we can improve. But to your point, like if hating ourselves was going to change anything, it would have happened
Yeah.
already.
Can I
So
also, one
why,
last thing I
right?
would
Yeah.
just
Go
add
ahead. Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
while this is a biological function that we can't completely turn off, we can at least change the meaning of it if we
Mhm.
try, which is, remember that comparison is the thief of joy.
Mm.
Remember
Mhm.
that you can always look around and find something better, but I guarantee you there are people who look at you and go, I wish I had fill in the blank about you. But like
Mhm.
we don't see it that way because this is our own experience. Like we're not able to be objective. And I think that that's such a big piece of it is stop the fucking comparison. Like take in the data and then you can hear like, oh, are they doing something in like an arm routine or are they doing squats or are they taking like a normal amount of supplements? Like I will say like that's been a big piece of it for me is I've
Mm.
definitely started taking different vitamins and supplements as I've gotten older and I feel the benefits of it and I like
Mhm.
what it's
Sure.
doing to myself. But I also am not doing it in a way that's interfering with my life or making me feel worse about myself or deprived. And
Right.
I think that's such a big difference is if it's adding to your life, it's not taking away from your peace.
I like that. That's a good note to end on for sure.
Boom.
Okay. Good takeaways. I like it. Are you, what do you, so I'm a little afraid because this is our dirty 30. What's your secret question? What's your secret question for me?
I mean, no, don't be afraid. Okay, so here's my question. Let's
Okay.
say you witness in the locker room some overtly toxic masculinity or
Mm.
overly gym bro kind of shaming that feels like overtly uncomfortable. Like you can
Mm.
sense that the person receiving that messaging from another person is not comfortable.
Mhm.
Would you do anything in that moment as a bystander? And if so, what would you say?
So I'll give myself some degree of error here. I
Yeah.
would say 7 out of 10 times I would probably say something. The other 3 are about my own probably personal safety or
Yeah.
experience or investment in a dynamic, depending on where I'm at with whatever. But I know that I'm confident in this because I have done this and I've done it several times. Where I'll hear some kind of offhand, or I'll even hear somebody denigrating themselves
Mhm.
in front of a friend, right? Talking about this, that, or the other. And I just go, hey man, love yourself. We're all different. And then I keep walking, right? That's the way I've helped somebody stand up for themselves. But
Mhm.
then I've also intervened if someone else is getting right. Like I have to kind of quickly assess, is that a dynamic I can insert myself into, or is there something, right? Something that's going on there. But I've absolutely stood up for the other person as well, and just given some sort of supportive message, or some sort of, even if it wasn't in front of their bully, maybe it
Yeah.
was afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Off to the side or whatever. But yeah, I would say, yeah, that's what I do. Yeah.
I think too when you answered that way, I think what that really spoke to, which I think is a whole tie to this thing, is it takes
Mhm.
courage to defy norms or
It
things
does.
that are
It does.
happening. And
Mhm.
I think that's the part that we cannot oversimplify, is how hard it is to be courageous. And it takes courage to go against the grain. It takes courage to stand up against forces and people that might be doing things, even if they don't realize it, negatively. And
Yeah.
so I think that's part of it. If we're going to change things, we have to have more courage and willingness to be courageous.
Yeah. I can say, so I'll give a little anecdote, maybe just in lieu of my own secret question. So I was in the sauna probably maybe about a year ago, and I was not covering myself. I was just sort of sitting on my towel, and somebody really took offense to that. This is in the men's locker
Really?
room. This is the men's only locker room. And I wasn't parading around. I wasn't making, like, it was not, I wasn't being salacious, right? I
Yeah.
was being completely respectful, sitting hands in my lap, like, and this guy, like, got in my face. He literally got in my face about this. And it was surprising, because whenever I'm confronted,
Wow.
when I get conflict like that, especially sitting somewhere with no clothes on, like, I was surprised at the lack of my own fight or flight response, right? And in the moment, I just very gently, but firmly challenged him. And I'm like, what is it about seeing somebody naked in the men's locker room that is difficult? Like, why would this be offensive to you? And he had to bluster a couple times, and had of this and the head of that. And everything that he came up with, I just sort of calmly took, and then just gently challenged, and calmly took and gently challenged.
Do you just think
And
it's
I taught
obscene?
yeah, he was like, he couldn't believe that I was I was violating the rules or whatever. And there's no rule about it. There's a sign that says etiquette and please do this and please do that.
Yeah.
And maybe I was slightly outside of the etiquette, but like I said, I wasn't walking around shaking my dick in front of people's faces. Like, I was
Yeah.
being very discreet about how I was sitting. And it was still very offensive to him. I don't even think he could see my genitals or anything else. It just was that fact that I wasn't wrapped in a towel or didn't have underwear or a swimsuit on was really offensive. And so
How
I
old was this
had
person approximately, you think?
probably 30, maybe.
Wow, that's really
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah. But I mean, it speaks to, like, part of, like, where we live and sort of the
Mm.
culture of the gym that I go to. I'm not going to call anything out specifically, but, like, it's that particular subculture that I think is a little hyper conservative.
Oh, yeah.
And if I'm being fully honest, that's part of the reason that I was pushing against it, because
Yeah.
I am not in any way, shape, or form hyper conservative,
No.
nor do I think that prudishness in a men's only locker room is warranted. Like, please get undressed if you need to get undressed. Why are you hiding, doing a towel dance? Like, so, I mean, just, it's the whole
No,
gist
thank
of
you
this
for
episode,
sharing
essentially.
that
But
story.
yeah,
I'm really
yeah,
were you planning on sharing that?
I wasn't actually, not today,
Oh,
but
I'm
I'm
so
glad I
glad
did.
you did,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that is that's a reason why probably so many people are afraid to try. And B,
Hmm.
that is such a wow, like, I just think also, like, the nerve of that dude to say that to you in a steam room,
Oh,
like, in
he was the locker room police that day. He was on it.
ugh.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I mean, because, like, let me just for comedic effect, I just want to offer
Uh-huh.
that, like, I remember being 16 years old, going to the YMCA, and old men just walking around with their dongs out, like they did not give two
Yep.
shits. And I
Yep.
remember being jarred, like, Jesus, okay. And but also, like, you just kind of like, yep, that's just what they're doing, and I'm not like, okay. But like, I would never imagine going up to somebody and be like, put something over your genital, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus,
Yeah.
it's so,
It,
and especially you were
yeah, I
in like
know.
a contained space.
Oh, I
Anyway,
know. Yeah, I know.
I know you
It was
know. It's
really
just,
surprising.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
exasperated. Anyway,
Yeah. I
yeah.
know. Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus, people.
So anyway, yeah, good. I guess that's my good little story for
Thank you for
secret
sharing.
question time. Sure. Yeah. How about shout outs?
Wait. Did you say your question?
Oh, I did not.
You were about to, I think, yeah, you were setting it up.
What is a part of your body that you have made peace with, and what finally did it?
I will say, I mean, definitely, various, but I will say, it's so weird. This is just, this is just an indicator of just like talking. It's one thing about my own acceptance with this stuff, but then to also talk about it with other people is really awkward.
Sure,
but
yeah.
like, I also,
It's vulnerable. It is. Yeah.
it is. I'll say my butt.
Okay.
I have a very I'm a big dude and I have a large caboose. And for a long time I used to feel I wanted just this like, I mean, yeah, I didn't want like some like non-butt. Like there's in my family, my dad, like notoriously, we would say had no ass, like just like it's like inverted. And so, and versus I've never had that problem. And so I think for a long time, like I just wanted anything to look normal size, to be not as wide, to jut out. And I'm now kind of in a place where I'm like, okay, like you do you, boo. Like I'm totally just in a place with it where I'm like, yeah, like you know what? I don't hate you. In fact, like good for you. You be your big booty Judy,
I like it. Nice. Yeah.
So I think
Good for you.
like, that's kind of the first thing I thought of. It's like, yeah, like I'm not gonna parade around naked about it, but also I know I don't look at it and go "Ugh," anymore. And that is the thing that is most important.
What did it? What got you over the hump?
Continued doses of exposure of just like allowing myself to look at my body, to like and to normalize it and then appreciate it. Like I think what you said earlier, I got to a place of neutrality. And now I'm at a place where I'm like, I really like how that looks in that way. Or, you know, if I can keep certain parts of this, I could really appreciate that. And so I think that to me is definitely something that it's liberating when you can learn to like it. I don't always love it, but like, I don't hate it. So that's
I
my
like
answer.
that. That's really cool.
Yeah,
that's great. Nice.
Yeah, thanks.
How about shout outs?
Yeah. Do you want me to go first or you want to go first?
Sure. Well, okay. No, you go first.
Okay. My shout out is, I know she's someone I shout out a lot, but I can't not shout this out. So shout out goes to Taylor Swift. And the reason why I am shouting out Taylor Swift is that there was this really awesome thing that just came out this week, which is that UMG Music Group, which is Universal Music Group, they recently sold half of their shares of their stock in Spotify. And the reason why this is a big deal and how it ties into Taylor is that Taylor, back in 2018, when she did her negotiations on her contract, she created a clause that made sure that if UMG ever sold any of its shares, that artists would receive payments without deductions. And what that means is that instead of recouping past debt from artists from the money they make, that they could get potentially millions of dollars paid out to them because this large company sold half of their shares. So anybody who is a UMG artist is going to get a shit ton of money or a large sum of money because of Taylor Swift putting this in her clause.
Wow.
This is the shit that Taylor Swift does that people who don't really want to research into it don't realize. Is she has done so much for artist equity and fairness and trying to stand up for artists and their work. And this is just one way, because streaming is the dominant way of people selling their music. And it's also, especially Spotify, is notoriously stingy on what they pay their artists. So imagine if
Really?
you're not getting paid well and you're a major label artist, imagine all these indie
Yeah.
artists that,
Right.
don't get much for their streams. So this is a
Yeah.
big, big, big deal. And I hope that, artists of all kinds can maybe create these same things in their own clauses when they have the power. I think that's the importance here. When you
Yeah.
have the power to do something good, do something good. I hope that's something we can
Mm.
all take away from that. So, got to give my girl Taylor, like, she's a brilliant
Nice job.
mastermind and
Yeah.
and a great businesswoman. And I'm just, yeah, I thought that was so cool.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love hearing stuff like that where there people with power and influence actually use it for the greater good instead
Yes.
of just their own self betterment. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah, that's incredible.
I mean, can I also add to just real briefly is I
Sure.
just saw this thing talking about how Melinda Scott, who is the ex-wife of Jeff Bezos, so she in that divorce got billions of dollars, and basically it is her goal to basically give away most of it for her in
Give
her
it all away,
life.
right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Correct. The funny thing is I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think, like, she was worth, like, $30 billion. Well, anyway, she's continued to donate and donate and donate.
Mhm.
Her net worth is now in its, like, $40 billion. So it just shows
She
you can
can't
keep
give it away fast
accumulating
enough.
money. You can't give it away fast enough. And so I think that's
Yeah.
the thing that she is modeling, is that it's like, you're going to keep getting rich. Like, you get to that level, like, unless you just start really throwing your money at the dumbest shit, you're going to remain rich forever. So
Yeah.
share the goddamn wealth. You won the prize of capitalism. Now
Right.
give it back.
Right.
You don't need it.
Right.
You're never going to use all of it ever.
Right.
So anyway, I just think that's, like, another sign of that. It's like, when you have the means, make it
Yeah.
happen. Share the
Right.
wealth. Sharing is caring.
Good. That's lovely. I like that. No, that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Anyway, what's your shout out?
Yeah, so I've got two. One is, and I know I'm late to the game, but I just finished Schitt's Creek, and it was really, really good. I think I gave it a shot
love
or
that journey
two
for
back
you.
in the day. I know. Well, it's funny. I looked it up, and, like, it literally started airing in 2015 and ended in 2020. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, I actually am really late to the game. And I'd seen little clips and the whatnot, and I'm like, I get the gist of it. But then I started watching with my husband, and I'm like, this is actually really fun. And the episodes are 22 minutes long, and it's very digestible and doesn't take itself too seriously. And yeah, it's just, it's a really great, wholesome show.
My hope is that
I
we
love it.
have
Yeah.
people out there going, yeah, welcome to the party.
We know.
We know.
I know.
Guys,
Yeah.
I started watching this show. It's called Friends, and it's got
You know
these,
what,
like,
Sean? You know what? I don't appreciate. This is just my shout out for the week, Sean. I don't need to be getting shit for my shout out.
I can't help it. I love you. That's my love language, is giving shit.
You're right. It is. Okay.
It's not
All right.
shaving.
Enough.
It really is. I'm so glad. No, it's a true, like, welcome to the party. We've just been dying to have you here. I want everybody in the world to watch Schitt's
Thanks.
Creek because they would be
Yeah.
better off for it. That's the truth.
Have you seen this show called I Love Lucy? It's
No.
I think
What's
it's
it about?
new. I don't know. They're filming it in black and white, which is kind of weird. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's a unique
I'm-
twist.
I digress. My other shout out. My other shout out is actually really solid, really awesome. And I don't know if he's going to hear it, but I'm going to tell him anyway. My husband has been taking really good care of me. I had Achilles tendon surgery a week ago, and he's been doing all of the things. He's putting away all the groceries and doing all the laundry and washing all the dishes. And he's just been really great about giving me the extra care that I need this week. And so I'm shouting him out. He's awesome. Thank you, Andrew. I love you.
Andrew, if you're not already listening, like get on it. Like we'll just start
Oh,
randomly.
he
throw-
does randomly. He
Oh,
does.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, no,
yeah.
I mean, like, sorry, let me back it up. Regularly listening. You
There
know,
we
if
go.
anything, well, let's just keep putting out random messages to Andrew just about random shit. Like, be like, hey, don't forget to let out the dog on this day and time, and I'll get you a prize. And if he does it, you'll know he's winning. Like he's paying attention.
Yeah. Secret Easter eggs. He would love that. He would not love that.
Anyway. Thank you for taking care of Jason. We've missed him at work. However, we're glad that you were in good hands.
Yes. And I'll be back very soon. I'll be back. Just a couple of days. Yes. So, yeah. And thank you to everyone listening. This was fun. It was fun to do our Dirty 30. Thank you to Sean for co-hosting with me as usual. Of course. And as usual, we want to just encourage everyone to like and subscribe and share and find us in all the places. You can find us at Collect Your Thoughts on YouTube and Collect Your Thoughts podcast on Instagram. So please follow us and tell all your friends and make all the downloads and all of the things. And please, if you have any comments or questions or suggestions for future topics, you are welcome to send those to us. We welcome them for sure. Thank you again. And as usual, we want to remind everyone to take a deep breath and
collect your thoughts.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.